Hello, beautiful ones. Welcome to Hot Girl Summer. I had so much fun with this title. My 20-year-old daughter came in one day with her friend and she was like, I'm having a hot girl summer. And I said, what does that mean? I mean, I can intuit, but she was like, well, I'm going to hang out with my friends. I'm going to live my best life. I'm going to work out and feel good in my body. And I was like, hell yes, I want a hot girl summer. And at the time, I was beginning to have my first hot flashes as I enter into perimenopause. And I was having moodiness, and I was like, well, I know Ayurveda. I've lived Ayurveda for 12 years, and I know it can help. And so I began to dive really deeply into my current lifestyle, my diet. What was I doing? What was going on? What could I shift and adjust so that I could feel vital and vibrant as I'm entering my 46th year? So I'm here to share what I did, what I love about Ayurveda, what I've been practicing for 12 years, and ways that we can support the feminine cycle through this ancient wisdom practice. So if you don't know me, I'm Jeanette Seeley. I'm a yoga therapist, an Ayurvedic practitioner, a Thai massage therapist. I'm a mama of 4 children, and I guide other yoga teachers and healthcare practitioners, as well as individuals, mostly women, towards living their best life through these ancient wisdom practices. It's such an honor and a gift to have these pieces of wisdom that have been passed on to me from my teachers. I just want to honor them and express my gratitude. Swamini Saraswati Shwaran. I always mess this one up. Swamini Shwarananda Saraswati. She went into her monkhood about a year ago, and so I'm used to calling her by a different name. So please forgive me. She is my most revered and honored teacher, and I'm so grateful to be her student. And then, of course, Larissa Hall Carlson was a huge influence in my Ayurvedic learning. She was the Dean of Ayurveda at Kripalu, and that's part of my studies. Gauri Trainer, beautiful guide who helped me learn how to utilize Ayurveda for a life of vitality and longevity well into our wisdom years. And Tiffany Carroll, I have to mention her. She is a Chinese medicine practitioner and an herbalist and an essential oil mastermind. And she's taught me so much as well. And when we talk about these ancient wisdom practices, Ayurveda is a syncretic practice. So it was developed and practiced throughout India for about 5,000 years. But because of the trade routes through Sri Lanka at the time, there's a lot of weaving together of wisdom from Chinese medicine and Tibetan medicine, Buddhist medicine, Ayurvedic medicine. So there are influences of other modalities in this practice. So I just want to honor that and recognize all of my teachers, again, with great gratitude and humility. I'm here to share with you the best I can about these beautiful practices. So, hot girl summer. Pitta is the dosha of fire. And let me get in here. Dosha translates to fault or defect. And everyone has a dosha. It's a word that represents our constitution, our physical biochemical makeup, and some of our mental qualities. And these dosha are a combination of the elements, the 5 elements: air, fire, water, earth, and ether, or space. And we have a true nature, what's known as our prakriti. And then we have what is out of balance in the moment. Our true nature stays the same all of the time, and our imbalance changes day to day, perhaps, and that's called our vikriti. So I'm going to give you an amazing test with Banyan Botanicals. In the download, you'll have all of these slides, and you can just click the link and go take a test to see what your current vikriti is, your current imbalance. And if you don't already know your prakriti, it will tell you that as well. So understanding the way that these elements show up within us is one of the keys to this life of health and longevity. And the dosha are 3: Vata, which is air and ether; Pitta, which is fire, predominantly fire. There's a little water kind of holds the fire, otherwise it would burn everything up. And kapha, which is earth and water. And again, mostly earth. Water is everywhere. Water is within every cell of our body. So we can always consider water as a present element. And so Vata, Pitta, Kapha are the three dosha. And we're going to talk a little bit about them, just a foundational understanding. So I'll invite you to take the beginner's mind if you already know of these. But I brought them here in the context of the seasons of life. And we will also talk about them in the seasons of nature. So the Kapha stage of life is birth to 16, 20 years old. And that's when water and earth are the primary elements that are present within us. We all have all five, right? Your bones are earth, the stability and the structure of your body, your blood and plasma, and so much water in every cell of your body. The air, of course, is your breath and all of the movement in your body, the communication between cells, the movements of lymph, the movement of blood, everything. The fire is the fire of digestion and metabolism. And then, of course, the space. There's space between everything as well. So when we're young, in our youth, the elements of water and earth are predominant. And I put the qualities of kapha here, and there's the 20 gunas, or the 10 pairs of opposite qualities, can be found in all things. And so I'll invite you to become familiar with these qualities, and they are the key to finding balance, but more on that later. So kapha, water and earth, if you imagine like the dense, heavy, wet earth in the spring after the snow melts, and that's heavy and slow. It's cold. It's oily and smooth. It's dense or heavy and soft. It's stable. It's gross, which means it has a lot of matter, and it's cloudy. And the functions of kapha, which I shared a little bit, are structure, cohesion, lubrication, hydration, growth, and nourishment. So you can see how this is really prevalent in springtime and in the time of youth. All right, the next one is the season of life of your young adulthood, young to mid adulthood, generally 16 to 20 years old to 50 years of age. And this is the fire time of life. This is the time when you are driven, you are motivated, you are making things happen, you are making money, making family, making, things manifest in the world. And fire is a light, sharp, and hot element, right? If you imagine a candle flame, it is oily as well and liquid because it has that quality of water. So if you think of lava, this spreading, and it's also subtle. So it's not as gross as kapha, gross meaning dense or made of like solidity of matter. So if you imagine again fire or a flame, it's a little more subtle. It's a little more esoteric or hard to confine, if you will. And the functions that Pitta governs are digestion, absorption, assimilation, all of the nutrition in your body, the transformation of food to energy, transformation in general, and it regulates body temperature. So fire is the season of summer. So we're going to talk a lot about Pitta Dosha today. It's going to be our primary focus, but I just wanted to go over all three if this is new to you. And the third is the Vata stage. Vata is that air and ether stage. And this is your elder years or your wisdom years, I like to call them. And this is the time of life where you're beginning to literally dry out. And so if you imagine that things are beginning to dry out, there's more air, there's more space, You may have the qualities of being light and cold, dry and rough, mobile, moves around a lot, subtle and clear. And so I'll invite you to think of wind. And there are 5 winds in the body, which we're not going to go into today, but there are 5 types of prana or vayu. And these 5 types govern all of the movement in the body, all of the circulation, the communication. And Vata keeps us creative, it keeps us flexible. It is another beautiful way to imagine that these elements are at play within us and show up in our personalities, in our bodies, in our balanced state, and then how they present in our imbalanced state. So perhaps just from this, you can see what season of life you're in, and maybe even get a sense of what qualities are more dominant in your being currently. And as I've already mentioned, it's the seasons of nature, and I forgot to mention Vata. So Vata is late fall and winter. If you think of that cold, drying time. And understanding these help us stay in balance and maintain our equilibrium through all of the cycles of change that we go through. So I do so love this foundational awareness of the dosha and coming back to them again and again, as well as the gunas or the qualities. The dosha also present in the times of day. So here's an Ayurvedic clock, and I have a much more specific guide a little bit later on to a daily rhythm that is supportive, especially during the seasonal changes. We change our daily rhythms based on the seasons slightly, and that's called a Ritucharya. So Dinacharya is the daily rhythm, and Ritucharya is the seasonal rhythm. And so just know that these are small and subtle shifts that we make, that following an Ayurvedic clock is a way that is super supportive for the nervous system. It's supportive for your digestion and your endocrine system and your hormone balance. And it's a beautiful way to commit to yourself. And that's one of the biggest keys of all of this. Ayurveda is a science of life. And when we begin to weave the practices into our daily routines, we commit to showing up for ourselves so much more fully, so much more beautifully, so much more compassionately, that we then have the stability and the balance in our lives that we can show up in the world and do what we are here to do. So it's a science of life that supports us in living our best life. And the ultimate goal of practice is so that we can take such good care of ourselves that our practice becomes of benefit to all beings everywhere. Summer, summer, summertime. The golden rule of Ayurveda. If you remember nothing else, this is the most important one. Like increases like, and opposites bring balance. So let's break that down a little bit. We went through the gunas very quickly, but the qualities of the different doshas. So let's talk about Pitta Dosha, or the dosha of fire and water. And this is summertime. This is the period of life of adulthood. And if you have a lot of fire, you will present as, sharp, right? Quick. It's mobile. So you're quick thinking. You think on your feet. You move easily from project to project or task to task. You have a light or radiance in your eyes and in your skin. You have perhaps hotter skin or a body temperature, and you may experience pitta as a part of your nature, and we're all in different quantities of these elements within us. But if someone has a predominance of Pitta Dosha, they will have flushed skin. You can look at me and see it. They will have red hair, or they might bald quickly. They will have bright eyes. They will speak quickly and clearly. They will have an athletic form. They'll have muscle. They'll be solid, but not as dense as the earth element. So there's a little lightness there. And Pitta people are more prone to become imbalanced with the fire dosha. And if you don't have a lot of fire in your natural constitution, you can also become imbalanced. And summer is a prime time for that to happen. So we're going to talk a lot about what that imbalance looks like and then ways to counteract it. All of my favorite ways. Working with Pitta, because I am so Pitta, I have spent 12 years learning how to bring Pitta into balance. So I love sharing this summertime project with you because this is the best time to focus on bringing the fire into control. If you think of fire when it burns out of control, right? It just burns everything up around it. It dries everything out. And that's what happens in your body. So in Ayurveda, we believe that we are the microcosm of the macrocosm. So we can look at nature, at gross nature, at like the field around us, and we can see what's happening. And from that place of understanding, we get insight into what is going on in our bodies. So if you look around, I live on the East Coast of the US, but depending on where you are in the world, this might be slightly different. But here in New Jersey, if I look around my local environment, everything is lush. The summertime is like the peak of the bloom, and the roses are in full bloom. The forest looks like a jungle. Everything's growing and growing and growing. And when I don't water my flowers in the summer, everything shrivels up and dies because it becomes so dehydrated from all of the heat that it just can't survive. So I have to be really mindful to go out, especially on hot days, first thing in the morning and add water to my hydrangeas and, make sure that I'm really mindful of keeping balance in my environment if I want to keep this lushness going. It's the exact same within us. So noticing when you get out of balance, when Pitta Dosha is out of balance, you will experience excess heat in the body. You might just feel a lot of heat. And if you are in the menopausal years of your life, hot flashes are a sign of Pitta imbalance. You might have acid reflux, gas, or like indigestion or ulcers. Pitta shows up a lot as inflammation in the body. Inflammation of the joints, inflammation of your gut, inflammation of your skin. So anything related to inflammation, any kind of itis, arthritis, is Pitta Dosha vitiated. So this is relevant. If any of this is going on for you, the antidotes to this, we're going to go over next. And I invite you to really tune in to what shifts and what techniques feel most resonant and commit to practicing them for some time. It takes about, generally, depending on how far out of balance you are, it takes about 14 days to even begin to see a difference. And some things you might see immediately, but committing to the practice that you choose is of utmost importance because nobody wants all of these, things out of balance, right? Beyond inflammation, you might be nauseous, you might have diarrhea, you might be constipated, you might be angry and irritable and highly critical. That's a sign of Pitta Dosha inflamed. You might have bad breath or body odor, and you might be sweating excessively. So the cooling down is so important during this time, and nourishing, like really thinking of bringing in nourishment and sweetness and play and sensuality, and how can you bring more joy into your life. That's an antidote to Pitta. Pitta likes to work hard. So here I have Ahara and Vihara, and this is diet and lifestyle. And this is my focus of practice in Ayurveda. There are many others. I also do Marma Chikitsa, which is marma point therapy in massage. But basically all of the techniques that you're going to get today are diet and lifestyle. And with these two aspects of Ayurveda, you can find such significant change in your well-being that I can't recommend it enough. It's my absolute favorite practice. So here I just left some space for you to do on your own time about what your daily routine looks like right now. Do you have one? And what elements of it are non-negotiable? What elements of your daily routine do you do every single day? And how do they make you feel? How do they bring you into balance or move you even further out of balance? So, is that morning cup of coffee really serving you? And don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to stop drinking coffee, but what is it? What is your daily routine? And just a little note next to each part. Is it serving you? Is it keeping you in balance? Okay, taking some time with that, go ahead and pause the video. And I'm going to move on to talk a little more about each one in depth. Ahara, your diet, your summer diet, your seasonal diet will change. And in Ayurveda, diet is one of the 3 pillars of health. It's one of the most important aspects of what we can do for ourselves. And there are some key ingredients that move across every season, and that is eat locally, eat seasonally, eat fresh, eat close to the earth, and cook fresh and eat fresh as possible. And then these very specifics about what to eat, what herbs, what fruits, what vegetables, what grains are ideal will change depending on your imbalance and depending on the season. So this is from Banyan Botanicals. I'm a partner with them, an affiliate ambassador for Banyan Botanicals. I absolutely love them. There's so much goodness on their site. I'll invite you to look, and here are just some basics of what we want to think of bringing more into our diet and what we want to avoid. We want a sweet, bitter, astringent, taste-filled diet. So thinking of things that are sweet, bitter, and astringent. And I have lists here for you. And then foods we want to avoid, of course, are the pungent, sour, and salty tastes, and anything that's going to provoke the heat in your body. So alcohol, caffeine, fried foods, anything that is spicy, cayenne pepper, black pepper, wasabi. So just noting, especially in the summer season, or if you have a lot of pitta, that minimizing or avoiding these things altogether will be super helpful for you. And if you are a coffee lover, I invite you to add cardamom to your coffee. This can be a way to cut down on the acidity and also invite more sweetness so that Pitta Dosha is not so vitiated by the drinking of a cup of coffee. I have some recipes for you. These are some of my favorite teas, and these come from a variety of sources that I'll cite at the end. One of my favorites is this beautiful book called The Cosmic Kitchen. Where's the camera? There we go. The Cosmic Kitchen. This is a gift from a friend, and it's such a beautiful book. It's by Sarah Kate Benjamin and Summer Singletary. It's an Ayurvedic cookbook, and it gives you so much insight into eating an Ayurvedic diet. So I highly, highly recommend it. Another one, again, you'll have a link at the end if you like to find these. Another one is by Divya Alter. She's from Divya's Kitchen in New York City, an amazing Ayurvedic kitchen. You can buy like pre-made foods and medicated ghee, all kinds of goodness. And this is what to eat for how you feel. 2 brilliant Ayurvedic cookbooks. And they go very much into depth about the seasons and what to eat during the seasons and what to eat for how you feel, literally. So beautiful. But there are some recipes for you here. So I'll just shoot through these really quickly. There's a mocktail recipe. I don't know about you, but summertime for me, there's a lot of gatherings and a lot of alcohol. And so I love making mocktails and bringing them and just at least having something to offer, something fun to drink besides the alcohol that I'm trying to avoid. And that can be just a really quick way to bring something, again, of a sensual, playful, wonderful nature and not feel like you're depriving yourself, but that you're gifting yourself this beautiful thing. So just a few. This everyday summer brew is out of this world. I make it as a sun tea, so I'll put all the herbs in and let it steep in the sun. It's incredible. And then Vihara, which is the lifestyle. So here, as I promised, I'm going into the Ayurvedic Dinacharya, or the daily routine. And Pitta likes a strong routine, right? Pitta, because it's mobile, and mobile might not even be the correct word, although it is the word, but even more than mobile, perhaps think of unstable. Fire is not stable, right? Fire can, if you find the fire within you vitiated or out of balance, you can be easily provoked. You could be emotional and hot emotions moving towards more anger, judgment, and criticism. So understanding how to bring in a little more stability is beautiful. And so that's where the routine comes in. Pitta flourishes on routine, as does Vata, that air and ether element, because they naturally are very unstable. And so the more stability we can bring in, the more balance we can bring in. So this is a sample recommended Ayurvedic Dinacharya, and you'll have this in your download. You can just go through, and what I recommend doing to my clients is, it can be overwhelming to start to change your entire routine at once. So pick 2 or 3 things and practice them for a couple of weeks, see how you feel, and then add on some more, and then add on some more. So for example, what time do you wake up now? Do you wake up at 8 a.m. or do you wake up at 6 a.m.? And so gradually creating an earlier time to wake up if you're waking up late, rising with the sun ideally. I am not an early riser naturally. I rise around 7 a.m. And for me, that's good. So noticing, how do you feel? Do you wake up and feel rested? Do you wake up and do you feel sluggish? Sometimes too much sleep will give us more of that kapha, earth, dense, heavy energy, and we will feel sluggish. So just noticing, what is an ideal time to wake up and committing to it. And this is a gift for your nervous system as well. So expose your eyes to sunlight. This is an Ayurvedic tradition. However, it's also proven by modern neuroscience that this will help in so many ways. It helps reset your circadian rhythms so that you get better sleep, so that your metabolism is boosted, so that your endocrine system is functioning optimally, and that's all of your hormones. Drinking warm or hot water. In Ayurveda, we don't drink anything cold. It puts out your digestive fire. So we need some fire. We don't want to put all of our fire out. So drinking, especially in the summer, something room temperature or tepid, definitely no ice. So if you want something cool, that's more than welcome in the summertime, but please avoid ice. And water first thing in the morning, a big cup, just helps you start your day right, helps you hydrate, helps you have a bowel movement, which is ideal. Scraping your tongue with a metal tongue scraper is another way to remove stagnation and toxins from the body. And then bringing any kind of vigorous exercise you're going to do in first thing in the morning. So you don't want to do vigorous exercise when the sun is at its peak. If we go back to the Ayurvedic clock, that's like the peak time of fire in the day. It's fire in the body, fire in nature. We don't want to exercise then. We want to do something really cooling at that point. So I highly recommend vigorous exercise. Rebounding is amazing. If you're a runner, run on the earth. If you like HIIT training, don't do it. I see people doing HIIT training or cross training outside at like noon, and it's a way to vitiate your pitta. So do it first thing in the morning, during that kapha time, perfect time to do it. The next is the afternoon time, 10 to 2, that time when pitta is at its peak. So what do we do then? That's a beautiful time to eat your biggest meal. Your digestion's at its highest. The ability to transform food into energy is at its peak. You should eat the densest part of your meal during this time of day. It's a great time to get a lot of work done, to sit, organize, plan, accomplish. But be mindful, because pitta, as I mentioned before, likes to overwork. So set a timer. I set a timer because I can get absorbed. Set a timer. So after 45 minutes, you are reminded to take a sweet break, go for a walk in nature, enjoy some pranayama, breath control work, and just kind of overall slow down and come back to this idea of nurturing yourself. So the next time of day is the Vata time, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. and 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. This goes full cycle and repeats. And this is that air and ether time. So it's a wonderful time to socialize, to communicate. If you have to, have work calls or write emails, if you want to meditate or do an art project, any kind of creative outlet, whether it's music or dance or art, just enjoy this time and bring in a little stability and stillness here as well. You don't want to be driving all over running errands at this time. That will vitiate Vata. And especially, well, for every season, there's a key point that I want you to know. Vata is within all of us, that air and ether, and it pushes the other two. So if you imagine like the earth and water kapha dosha, if you imagine a mudslide, that's because air is pushing the earth. And on the other hand, the fire dosha, pitta, if you imagine a forest fire, that's air pushing fire. So air is super important to always notice what's going on with the air and space element within us, because it has the capacity to throw other things out of balance. So Vata loves stillness and stability. Vata loves routine. And when we keep the air element in balance, it's easier to keep everything else in balance. And then we return to kapha time. And kapha time is 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And again, that's that earth energy. We wake up with it, we go to bed with it. In the morning, we want to counteract it. And so we bring in movement, we bring in, our activity. But in the evening, this is when it's good to kind of nourish it, right? The sweetness of like slowing down and creating a bedtime routine for yourself. If you eat dinner at this time of day, it should be super light. Ideally, you eat by 6 p.m., a super, super light dinner. But this is a good time too to like close up any loose ends from the day, to finish any work tasks, to begin to prepare for bed, to shut off your phones 2 hours before sleep, to get exposure to evening sun, even if it's cloudy out, just going outside and giving your eyes some brief exposure to the sun, doing that morning and evening does help regulate your circadian rhythms. The super chiasmatic nucleus in the brain. You can look more into that if you're an anatomy nerd like I am. So that's your basic routine, and it may seem like a lot, but if you go through it, like I said, and just see what you can tweak here and see what you can tweak there, and eventually having a stable routine like this will just be one of the most deeply supportive things you can do for yourself. All right, baby, yoga. This is my favorite part of mastering the balance, because yoga is a gift of self-awareness. And the true meaning of yoga is skill in action, according to the Bhagavad Gita. one of the most ancient texts. It is union, and this comes from Patanjali, the father of yoga. He wrote the Yoga Sutras. And how can we feel good in our bodies if our bodies are not in a state of ideal health? I've been there. I'm sure we've all been there, whether it's having the flu or breaking a bone or tearing a muscle or having a car accident or having a baby or going through menopause or even cancer and end of life. We can find a sweetness, a stability, and a sense of ease in the body. And I worked in death care, in end-of-life care for 23 years, and I had so much wisdom come through from that experience, just transmitted to me from these beautiful elders, these beautiful people who are facing the end of their lives. And for some, it's supremely challenging, and for others, it's just another rite of passage. And I started to really notice the difference between the two, who had an incredibly difficult time and who had more ease, more peace surrounding the process. And for me, what I noticed, and I was already a yoga practitioner, but I was not yet a teacher in the beginning, but I noticed that the ones who were dying easily had an experience of serenity because there was something so much bigger than themselves that they believed in. And I don't want to go on a tangent here, but yoga brings us that. So even if we're in a state in our bodies at the moment that is not peaceful, sensual, playful, comfortable, we can cultivate that. Ayurveda is a huge step. It's been a balm in my life on so many occasions, and it has worked for my clients in such beautiful ways. So what we do with our practice changes from season to season, just like everything else. And in the summer, we want to think of our yoga practice as being that element of nurturance, that element of play, that the tool for self-awareness and for cultivating a deep resilience, of building like the flowers in nature are growing and abundant. We want our vitality to be growing so it can be abundant. So this is where we pay close attention to the way that we're moving. And you can have a practice that's an hour long, or you can have a practice that's 10 minutes long. But I'll invite you to have a practice, a physical practice, in addition to an exercise routine, right? Because yoga is not exercise, but a practice that brings you home to yourself. And that can look like so many different things. In the summer, for me, it looks like in bed at the end of the day, I do some gentle stretches and deep breathing and awareness cultivation of every part of my body to just see, and even a gratitude practice with your body. You can give yourself that. I didn't talk a lot about this, so I have to go back. Abhyanga, self-oil massage. It's in your dinacharya. It's in your daily routine. Oh, it's my favorite thing. I take it for granted because it's such a part of my life right now that everybody knows what it is. So you want to spend time with yourself every single day, massaging yourself with warm oil. In the summer, ideally, it's coconut oil. And you can get like a cold pressed organic coconut oil that's really beneficial for your skin. You can add rose or sandalwood or lavender to this oil, and it will make it very balancing for Pitta Dosha. And then you work it all over your body. You start anatriptically. So you move from the extremities towards the heart. And you will do like light circles on the joints and long strokes on the limbs. And you'll just go through your entire body. And you'll do this ideally first thing in the morning before you shower. You can do Abhyanga and then work out and then have your shower. And you don't really need to use soap after using all this oil, only on the parts that need soap, obviously, but you can really just let your skin soak up the nourishment of the oil. And this is part of your yoga. This is part of your practice of coming home to yourself and offering gratitude to your body. So the yoga practices that you do during this phase of the season are quiet, cooling, gentle. They might offer a sense of surrender. If you're very high Pitta, you can think of a Pitta person as like a workaholic, someone who is traveling a lot to work perhaps. They might do CrossFit or run 3 miles for their exercise. They might play tennis or competitive sport. They might go to hot yoga or vinyasa yoga or power yoga. So because like attracts like, we want to do the things naturally that throw us more out of balance. So all of those things I just mentioned, if you are a Pitta person or if your Pitta dosha is vitiated or out of balance, you'll want to kind of stay away. You'll want to do something quieter, cooler, gentler, sweeter, all of the above. Yin yoga is wonderful, Qigong or Tai Chi. So how can you use the practice to cultivate sweetness, slowness, stability? And this will help bring you into balance. Next, we have pranayama, breath control. Prana is the winds in the body. There are 5 types. And yam means to yoke or to control. And so I have 3 here, and I'm going to take you through each one very briefly. But these are my favorite pranayam to help with Pitta Dosha. These are 3 that I highly recommend, especially in the summertime. The first is Brahmari Breath, and this is the Bumblebee Breath. So in the sutras, in the Shiva Samhita, it says that Brahmari Pranayama will immerse your heart in an ocean of bliss. And bliss is the antidote. Your heart is the antidote to vitiated Pitta. So this is a really sweet one. We'll just do 5 breaths. And it's a humming breath. And you try to make the sound of the female honeybee. And if you want to know what that sounds like, you can find a recording on Wikipedia. But the female honeybee is the sound we're shooting for. I'm not promising I'm going to get the right tone, but I will guide you in the way that I've been taught. So you're going to just breathe in naturally and breathe out. Notice your natural breath. Coming in through your nose and out through your nose. And seal your lips. Allow some space between your teeth and touch your tongue to your upper palate. And on your next exhale, I'm going to invite you to create a humming sound. And you'll allow that humming sound to vibrate in one of 2 places, depending on your choice. The first is your sinus cavity. This is really nice if you have sinus congestion or allergies. The second focal point can be your heart. So you can choose which one feels better for you at the moment. And we'll just take 5 breaths, creating that humming sound, extending the length of the exhale, but not so much that you create a sense of effort. It should feel easeful. It should feel comforting and soothing. So when you're ready, you'll find your own rhythm. Don't try to keep up with mine. Just do what suits you. We'll take 5 breaths like this. So inhaling to begin. And whenever you're ready, just gently bowing your head to your heart, honoring your inner teacher, your guide, noticing how you feel, the resonance of the humming sound reverberating through every cell, cleansing the fire in your body. And when you feel complete, you can open your eyes. We're going to move on to the other two breaths. Again, just going over them briefly, but feel free. Oh, I'm sorry, there are 3 more to go through. I gave you 4 in total. So the next is Chandra Vedana. And Chandra means moon or the lunar elements. So we're going to just breathe through the left nostril. So you'll take your right thumb, close off your right nostril, and just invite some left nostril breathing. And if your left nostril is clogged, you can just close the right gently, not completely or fully. So there's a little bit of air coming through the right. And just notice how much space you need to feel like you're getting a complete breath. And just take 5 deep breaths through the left channel, imagining a cool stream of air coming in through the left nostril, up to the third eye center, through the pineal gland and down the spine, all the way to the root of your body. The stream of cool breath flowing in and flowing out. Your eyes are soft or gently closed, gazing down the tip of your nose. The breath is smooth and steady. And one more breath here. And exhale, keeping your hands where they are. Inhale through the left nostril. Take your ring finger, close off the left nostril, and exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close it off with the thumb and exhale through the left. You can take your pointer and middle fingers and touch them to your third eye center here. Inhale through the left nostril. Close it off and exhale through the right. Inhale right. Exhale left. Inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. And exhale left. Continuing like this. Shitaly Pranayama, or if you chose to use your fingers, Anuloma Viloma, but basically alternate nostril breathing, cooling and cleansing all the channels of the body, the right and left channels along the spine, and each of the 72,000 nadis or energy centers, energy points. This is a beautiful way to create balance between the right and left hemispheres of the brain. It actually increases communication across the corpus callosum, or that central divider in the brain. So just notice as you practice, how does your energy feel? Is there a little more spaciousness? A little more peacefulness? And you can close with an exhale through the left nostril. And just allow your eyes to rest and notice how you feel. And the final breath that I'm going to share with you for balancing Pitta Dosha is Shitaly Pranayama. And this is a cooling breath. It's amazing if you feel overly hot or irritated, or if you have hot flashes. So for this one, you're going to roll your tongue. So I know this is a genetic trait. If you're able to roll your tongue down the center to curl it, I cannot do it. So if you can't do it, don't worry. You can tuck your tip of your tongue behind your front teeth and curl your tongue that way. And simply breathe in through the mouth and then seal the lips and breathe out through the nose. Breathing in through the curled tongue, sealing the lips and breathing out through the nose. And just notice the cool waterfall of breath pouring in and moving down your spine. And the peacefulness of the exhale. Breathing in a sweet waterfall of breath. Breathing out, spreading this peacefulness throughout your entire being. And just 3 more breaths like this. Shitaly Pranayama, really utilizing the power of the streaming coolness to quell any fire imbalance or inflammation in your body. And when you feel complete, just go ahead and place one hand over your heart and the other hand on top, and bow once again to your heart, to your inner wisdom, the knowledge library that is your body. Notice how you feel. Notice the fire elements within. And invite this sense of play and nurturance, knowing that the summertime is a time, again, to bring in sweetness, to bring in steadiness. And with that, that closes the workshop for today. I'm so grateful for your presence. I promised that I would share with you at the end that I am offering a 5-day live free challenge. And this challenge is going to be on Instagram. So go ahead and follow me over there. You can find the link in your download and tune in for more about the challenge. You'll receive an email invitation and it's completely free. And the goal of the challenge is to help you create more routine in your day and give you a little bit of inspiration and also community around beginning to embody some of these practices. So you'll get a few more recipes and just a lot of fun. And I'll invite you to bring a lot more fun and joy into your daily experience, to utilize these Ayurvedic rituals and lifestyle practices to create more harmony within and without. And do reach out if you have any questions. I'm so happy to answer them. I know that these routines have helped me in so many ways, helped me bring a sense of deep self-love to my world, where I have these non-negotiable aspects of my self-care routine that allow me to honor where I am, but also help me get where I want to go. So whatever your health journey is and whatever your goals are, know that these practices support you. And as women, this is the most important thing that we can do for ourselves, to nurture our wombs, to nurture our hearts, and to fall in love with this embodiment so we can show up ever more for those that we love. I'm so, so happy you were here. Thank you for watching if you're watching later, and yeah, reach out. Share with me any questions. Om.